Hello, I'm Beryl Dakers. Welcome to Palmetto Scene. As this year has taught us, life is full of unexpected changes, and this story is a great example of just that. Most folks couldn't tell USC Union's Mal and Mia Stokes apart, and that was just fine with the identical twins. Softball standouts from an early age, they played for teams near their home in Charlotte, North Carolina, teams across the country and internationally. One caught, one pitched, or they each played a corner. They were always together, on the same team, on the same bench. But on a cold night last February, they sat on different sides of the car, and everything changed. Christy Mason Cox has our story.
Holly and Mallory Stokes sort through countless family photos. They're love letters, really, tangible proof of the family's outsized devotion to sports and to playing together. Mom Holly and Dad Eric. Matt is the oldest son, a college baseball player himself. The twins, Mal and Mia, were the family's softball stars who reluctantly left their close-knit home last fall to play college ball together for the University of South Carolina at Union.
We were always together. We always were there to encourage each other, pick each other up. We just had that bond. And so the thought of playing without her is I don't know. I don't know if I'll ever play again, but...
It wasn't supposed to be this way. Mal without Mia.
The school community is in mourning tonight.
We're following breaking news at 8:57. We now know the names of 2 people killed in a crash in Spartanburg County.
The coroner says this happened Friday night around 10 on Woodley Road at Southport Road.
They were together, of course, that night, February 7th, 2020. The Lady Bantams were due in Columbia the next morning for a game. 18-year-old Mia and Mal were with 2 teammates, Grace Revels, 20, and Devin Royce, shopping at Academy Sports for undershirts. Game day was due to be cold. They joked with Holly and Eric on the phone before they hung up and jumped into opposite sides of the car. Mal on the driver's side, Mia on the passenger's.
The last thing I remember is walking out of Academy. And so...
I saw on Facebook that there's actually, you guys took a funny selfie together. Do you remember that picture?
Oh yeah, it was probably my Snapchat streak.
Just 7 minutes later, Mia was gone. An alleged drunk driver traveling more than 80 miles per hour crossed the center line and divided their lives. The girls on the driver's side, Mal and Devin, survived. On the passenger side, Mia was pronounced dead at the scene. Grace later at the hospital.
I remember being on the side of the road and yelling for Mia. I remember yelling for Mia because I knew she was in the car and I didn't know where she was. But really, that's the only thing I remember, and I remember the fireman who was with me the whole time. I remember him being in front of me, kneeling, holding my arm because I was in so much pain. And he's told me that we had a whole conversation or whatever, and the only thing I remember was him telling me he was a twin.
Looking back now, one wonders that it was a twin sent to minister to Mal in this exact moment Mia passed. One who understands what it means to have another so perfectly mirror yourself, and what it feels like when that mirror shatters and your image is all your own for the very first time. That is the bond of twins, certainly these twins.
They made one. We always said, God kind of made them, but gave them their individuality, but they made each other one person, literally in everything. Everything in life. She was strong in one thing.
Each other's nerves?
They did. It is. It's crazy. It really is.
For these parents, the agony, as it is with twins, is twofold as well. Both losing Mia and walking Mal through the loneliness of surviving while feeling that half of her has died is gut-wrenching. But they say they're blessed with a very deep bench. Their church, friends and family, including softball royalty, U.S. Olympic gold medalists Leah O'Brien Amico and Jenny Finch.
They literally have been just a blessing to the girls. They could call them for anything.
It will take many to help Mal live without the one she never expected to do without. She's left USC Union because she can't bear the thought of playing without Mia. The tattoo on her arm, one they shared, a constant reminder of their bond. And yet, this is a family of athletes. They're strong physically and spiritually. Mal knows this is early in the game and that Mia would want her to pick up and play again, to train for that time when a heart broken just like hers will need to lean on Mal and learn from the life of her sister.
I feel like it's still so fresh, and I'm trying to learn how to live alone, which I've never had to do before, and definitely lonely, it feels like. So
What do you want people to know about her?
she loved Jesus, family, friends. She was seriously the best.
And as if to prove it, the family continues to find precious writings and notes Mia left behind, testaments to her deep faith that serve as balm for the souls of this weary but waiting family.
We keep telling ourselves our thing is we're one day closer to seeing Mia again.
That's our every day when you get up, we're one day closer. And that just kind of helps us keep it small, but keep it focused.
Learning to live with wildlife can sometimes be challenging, but it doesn't have to be. Each animal has a role to play on this earth. Carolina Wildlife is helping animals in need get back to their natural habitats while educating the public as to why our balance with nature is so important.
Carolina Wildlife is a nonprofit. Our mission is to rescue, rehabilitate, and release all native wildlife. We will intake any animals that are injured, orphaned, or just misplaced, and we will assess them, help you re-nest if they're healthy babies, or intake them if they're injured or ill. And then our goal is to get them through the rehabilitation system, get them eating, get them surviving on their own, and then we re-release them. We accept any kind of wildlife found in South Carolina. That includes owls, songbirds, small animals. We take in reptiles, we take in pretty much anything that you can find out in South Carolina. So the first thing you want to do if you have an injured animal is call us. We can help guide you through how to contain the animal, how to transport it safely, or visit our website. We have great tips there for how to assess if an animal is really in danger or not. Once you do have the animal contained, the best thing to do is put it in a safe, quiet, and dark place away from animals and people until you can bring it to us. Never feed or give water to any wild animal, even if you think that it's very thirsty or hungry, because oftentimes that does more damage to wild animals. Carolina Wildlife uses a ton of volunteers. We have a huge network of people that help from animal care to transportation to just education and fundraising. So we have a huge support from the community involving everything here. We do outreach programs where we'll go to different schools in the community, and we can do short or long programs from just meeting animals and learning about them and our native South Carolina ecosystem, all the way to learning about really cool topics that these animals can teach us, like adaptations for living in different environments and how these guys are really important to our ecosystem. We had a record-breaking year last year where we intook 600 opossums. So this is Nyx, N-Y-X, named after the goddess of darkness, because she's nocturnal, just like all other opossums. She hangs out when it's dark. She came to us last year. She is still a juvenile. She joined us as a very small orphaned baby with an eye infection. And unfortunately, we weren't able to treat that infection well enough to save the eye. And so even though she's healthy now, she can't actually see out of this right eye here. That means she can't be released since, again, the goddess of darkness needs both eyes to see in the dark. Even though she has these awesome long whiskers called vibrissae that help her see when there's not a lot of light, she also needs those eyes. So instead of releasing her, she lives with us, and she goes out to schools and events and lets people meet her and learn about opossums by coming up close with her. Opossums, right here in North America, are a group of animals that are marsupials. So these guys have a marsupium, that's a little pouch on their belly, and that's the same as kangaroos and koalas and wallabies. It is Didelphis virginiana, it's our Virginia opossum, that's the only type of opossum you'll find here. And just like all the other marsupials, they carry their babies around in that pouch. So after 2 weeks, mommy gives birth to all these little tiny babies. They crawl into her pouch and they stay in there drinking milk for as long as they need to until they're big enough to come on out and start hanging on mom. Once they are big enough to get off of mom, about the size of a dollar bill, tail to tip, these guys start roving on their own. But until then, they are literally hanging out inside mom's pouch or on her back the entire time. Opossums are omnivores. Kind of like most humans, they eat meat and plant. So that means as they're going out in the forest, they're eating things like decaying animals, old leaf litter, and that keeps the entire ecosystem clean. They're basically garbage men. They're out there making sure that things don't pile up and create lots of gross bacteria. On top of that, they eat a lot of insects. So humans are susceptible to diseases like Lyme disease and Chagas, and that can be transmitted to us via ticks. Ticks are plentiful in the summertime, and our friends the opossums eat thousands of them every season. So they are actually keeping us safe and healthy by removing sources of bacteria and reducing the amount of Lyme disease that we're exposed to. So we should be very, very thankful for these guys. Oftentimes people are concerned when there's opossums in their yard, but there are a few reasons you should be very happy they're in your yard. First of all, these guys don't transmit a lot of diseases. They're actually immune to rabies for the most part. Their body temperature is too low to host the virus, so you're not going to have rabid opossums in your yard. Second of all, they're immune to a lot of venoms from different venomous snakes around here. So if you see a venomous snake in your yard, there is a chance that that opossum that you also saw is going to make that his dinner. Opossums are often painted as very aggressive, attack animals, but opossums' best defense is to look scary. They will rarely, if ever, charge at you. The most that they'll do is maybe open their mouths very wide and hiss. They do have big old mouths full of the most teeth of any land mammal in North America, 50 pretty sharp serrated teeth. But these teeth are just for show and mostly for crunching through things like decaying bones and leaf litter. They use these teeth to crack open roots, nuts, berries. So it may look scary, but it's mostly for getting through things that are tough to eat. Now, opossums do have a second form of self-defense. This is kind of what most people know, playing possum. They will go into a temporary state of catatonia, so they're very stiff and they can't move, and they start secreting a very stinky green juice out of their bottoms. This smell, combined with not moving, makes it look like they're dead. And for most predators that would maybe eat an opossum, they don't want to eat something that's rotting. So either they look really scary or they look really dead. And both of these techniques help them stay safe out in the wild. Possums are oftentimes seen as a danger to our outdoor pets. In reality, we get many opossums that are hurt by those pets. Opossums rarely, if ever, will attack your animals. They're a bigger risk than your pets are. But of course, if you leave food out for your cats or whatnot, possums are gonna smell it, find it, and be pretty excited to have free food. So you have to understand that if there is food outside, there's a chance a possum's gonna find it. So humans are able to coexist with any species of animal here in South Carolina, whether it's something that we're scared of, like a lot of people fear venomous snakes or opossums. They all serve a purpose. If we leave them alone, they leave us alone. And the easiest thing we can do is give animals space. So as long as we respect our wildlife friends, we will keep our ecosystem healthy, and we will be healthy because of that.
Up next, Bradley Fuller introduces you to a big place in a small town that has seen a great resurgence during this pandemic. Bradley?
Thanks, Beryl. Because of the pandemic, most people have had to change their weekend plans from having a fun night out to having a quiet evening in. And businesses such as movie theaters have been one of the hardest impacted. Fortunately for us, there's still a way to see the silver screen and socially distance. Drive-in theaters have been seeing a resurgence across the country, and luckily there's one right here in South Carolina's backyard. Well, it was a drive-in that was built out here in 1950. It actually opened on April 26, 1951, and operated more or less constantly until the fall of 1986. It remained closed for about 12 years until we found it in 1998. We purchased the property then. We reopened in 1999 as the single field, the main field, which is the original field. And then we added over the years. You know, I've always wondered kind of why the original owner decided to build a drive-in in Monetta, but I understand, I mean, it drew fairly well back in the day, and what I can come up with is it's kind of centrally located on Highway 1 between Columbia and Augusta. You know, it's kind of a rail town at one point. You know, it's right in the middle of the peach country. What you see there is what you get. That's the town of Monetta. It's always been small. I think the population's under 300. It's kind of funny, you get a big movie during the summer and the town of Monetta will grow fivefold just from people being at the drive-in. I mean, it's one of those things where it's kind of closer to almost like a carnival in a way. I mean, we have trivia contests, giveaways. You're outside, obviously, as opposed to an indoor theater. We have the playgrounds. It also provides kind of the quintessential private experience, if you want that. Roll up your windows and be away from other folks, or the quintessential public experience in that, you know, you sit together and be laughing and sharing comments about the movie, perhaps, that you can't do when you're at an indoor. It's really a contrast to what you would experience either at an indoor theater or even at home. It is a real shift from daytime to night. With nighttime, it becomes a very different place. Sometimes there's more drama going on behind the scenes than there is on the screen. A typical movie night during the summer, you'll have a lot of cars. Depending on the movie, you may have a full house. The pandemic's been like a sledgehammer for everything. We ran for 3 weeks in the spring and then everything closed down. We didn't have to close down, so we have been able to pick up some special events. We had to change some of the ways that we do things. I mean, again, it hasn't been necessarily a requirement, it's just out of abundance of caution. We've cut our capacities in half for each of the fields. We've also closed the concession stand and have concessions that are kind of grab and go takeout from a tent that we put outside the concession stand. And then also all of the employees wear masks. During the pandemic, the message I would say is have a mask with you and you know, come and join us. I mean, there's certainly going to be better times once the pandemic is over and things get back to normal. You know, the events that we have had during it seem like they've been pretty well received and people have enjoyed themselves. It's a fun activity. We'll be again, we promise. We'll be back in force, but right now I think the major thing is to be careful, and we're going to try to do that here.
In tonight's Women Vision 2020 segment, we feature Tamika Devine, an attorney, city councilwoman, wife, author, and mother of 3, who still finds the time and energy to make an impact on her community.
I wasn't running to be the first African-American female, the youngest person. I just was running to make a difference in my community.
Tamika Devine ran for office for the first time when she was age 29. She was the first African-American female and the youngest person on the Columbia City Council.
And I won by less than 200 votes. When I ran for office, I went to every single PTO meeting, church, knocked on doors, did any and everything to get my word out. I was probably, the younger than some people's children, and so they were like, this little girl, but they saw something in me and they came to vote. Those 200 people did not vote, I wouldn't be here today. 18 years later, I'm still here and I'm still making a difference.
She is making a difference on a number of fronts. She is founder of Possibilities Institute, a performance consulting and public speaking firm, and founding partner of the law firm Jabber and Isaac. She's also part of an initiative called Columbia City of Women that she hopes will impact girls and boys growing up in the city.
But as you're going through the city of Columbia and you'll see the city of women, you'll see Majeska Simpkins, you see Dawn Staley, you see Jean Toll. So they will grow up knowing that these women impacted the city that they lived in, and they understand the role, an important role that women play in building this city.
Devine has authored books Think Like a CEO and Act Like a Mom, and Born into Heaven, which documents a difficult time in her personal life. It was the year 2014. She and her husband had 2 daughters then.
My husband and I, when I was 42, discovered I was pregnant. And after the initial shock of finding out I was pregnant at 42 and unplanned pregnancy, I was really, really excited and about welcoming this baby. I was 36 and a half weeks pregnant and went in for a routine ultrasound a couple weeks before my due date and discovered that there was no heartbeat. Had to go in for a C-section and found that our baby had a knot in his umbilical cord. Never really had heard that was a thing, that was even possible, but through the research and through that experience, I realized that actually that is a big reason that a lot of stillbirths happen. And so we say James Henry was born into heaven and that I'm a mommy of an angel. But I think the biggest thing it taught me is that no matter what, there are things that happen in our lives. And people always say, something that doesn't break you makes you stronger.
Devine and her husband had another child when she was age 44, and she has continued to build on her public service work. She believes passionately in work-life balance and inspiring others.
I want more women, especially younger women, to realize you can say, I want to be a great wife and mom. I want to be a great career person or entrepreneur. Let me figure out how do I get it done. Let me go after having mentors and sponsors that will help me get those things done. Let me go after balancing or integrating, I call it work-life integration, integrating my work responsibilities and my personal responsibilities so that it all complements who I really am. For me, my overriding life vision is to be successful at everything that I set my mind out to do. But success for me isn't just about a title or money or notoriety, but the success is in making a huge difference in the lives of others, even people you might not ever meet or know.
For more stories about our state and more details on the stories you've just seen, please visit our website at palmettoscene.org. And of course, don't forget to follow us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at SCETV, #PalmettoScene. As we leave you, tonight's Palmetto postcard showcases a ride down the Swamp Rabbit Trail of the Upstate. For Palmetto Scene and DTV, I'm Beryl Dakers. Good night, stay strong, and thanks for watching.
The Swamp Rabbit Trail Network is essentially a road without cars. Today we're at the Swamp Rabbit Cafe and Grocery at mile marker 32 on the green line of the Prisma Health Swamp Rabbit Trail Network. The network of the Swamp Rabbit Trail is now 22 miles long. That includes the green line and the orange line, and even a mile section down in Fountain Inn. So logistically, the way the trail came together is part of a national effort called Rails to Trails Conservancy. And so on the Rails to Trails Conservancy, individual communities can sign up for notification when rail lines are essentially being abandoned, no longer being used for rail transportation. And we were signed up on that list. And back in the early 2000s, late 1990s, the community got notification that the owner of the rail was filing for abandonment. And what we did, it was created in 2009. We're now at 22 miles of the network. But the first 9 miles were the trail between Travelers Rest and Greenville. And we pulled up the rail and we just put down asphalt and turned it into a trail. So there's so many different ways that people use the trail system. There are many people that don't have a car that use this as their transportation network to get to work and home. So really from biking, walking, anything with wheels that is human powered is the broad use. I think really where the Swamp Rabbit came in is it gave a very enjoyable and inviting opportunity for families to teach kids how to ride. The fact that it's on an old rail bed, the Swamp Rabbit is, for the majority of the way, it's less than 5% grade, so it's very easy. Swamp Rabbit has definitely broadened the culture. We had a dedicated culture here with professional cyclists retiring here, but it allowed people to go, riding a bike is no longer just something I did as a kid, it's the way I can get around my neighborhood, it's the way I can go downtown to eat.